Okay.
Yeah, some of the people is getting.
Yeah, sometimes because this time they asked for the registry because last time we don't know we don't know who attend us, and so we just because this information I think is very important, so we have to put it seriously, okay? And some doctor want to after the meeting. They want the summary. Sometimes we can send it to their email. Okay. Okay. I think I already left stream, so we can start now. It's some doctor. Okay. Lot doctor asked first. My question is, what is the CareFirst is? What's it for? Okay. I think I already practiced in China for 8 years, and in American I do the postdoctor 8 years, and the rest 20, I think 25 years, 22 years as a dentist practice in US. Okay, so for the past many years, I actually I learned a lot. Until now, we are getting into the new age. Okay, for our as a dentist, I think it's a good time, and but sometimes the doctor said maybe it's a bad time because of the AI, a lot of new technique come out. So, and as a dentist, we know we are facing pretty much the challenge. When we go to the school, yeah, the school tuition too high. Okay, after we practice, we are kind of the small business, we not only just know how to do it, we have to know how to run the office. Okay, but if you work for the we call the DSO, we just feel we just kind of the employee. We sometimes we feel I work for the DSO once a while. The feeling is not very good. Okay. So, we are the reason we created CareFirst. We want to help at first we want to help ourselves, okay? And also, meanwhile, we want to give our patients the better, the good, the quality service, okay? So I think as dentists, dentist is the middle class, okay? So we always we want to financial freedom, okay? Yeah, since COVID-19, we have this kind of digital dentist the webinar. We're talking a lot. We talking a lot about the technique, management, and everything. But right now, the CareFirst, we put everything together. We try to give our dentists a vision, okay, how we can successful, okay, and also have the financial and the spiritual freedom, okay. This is a whole purpose for CareFirst, okay. Yeah, as dentists, I think if we have the good technique, I know how to do the implant, we can, make a good financial reward. But sometimes I feel it's not true. Okay, I think at least there is a 5 level let us to know about the dentistry. Okay, definitely, I think the first level at dentist we are professional. Okay, we get a training in the dental school. Okay, but the dental school they teach us the basic, how to do the restoration, how to do the perio disease, and we learn later about the implant, the also treatment, little about the endo. But these the implant also treatment and the endo and right now the new thing is the biomimetic dentistry. This is actually if you know this kind of technique, you will get the high financial reward, okay, high revenue, okay. So I think basically we not only just know the basic technique, we hope each one of doctor know at least one of them, okay. Right now, it's a lot of training, especially for our CareFirst, our digital dentist, our NDPO, IACD. You know, we already provided for the past many years. We already provide our doctor this kind of training, and I can see some doctors tell me they are getting the benefit from this kind of training. Okay, the first level, yeah, we accept the basic dental skill. We have to, if you want to get the higher revenue, you have to get the the advanced training. The first thing. Then the second thing, the dental practice is a small business. Small business have their own character. Is that right? We have to know how to management, how to deal with our employee. How we do the marketing. Okay. Then you as a dentist, you have to learn how to be a team leader. Okay, and something. Yeah, when I have my first office. I'm lucky. The businessman told me, so Jim, you have to know how to do the marketing. So for my first business, and the first year I reached about $1 million. That time, 2006. That's I just used some the marketing skill. Quick. Let the patient come to your office. Okay, this kind of business mindset, right now a lot of training here. I think here Dr. Hui went to a lot of this kind of training. Yeah, that's why he run the office. He have the full office. Right now, the office don't need the Dr. Hui to work there. It just this. So if you know how to manage your office, you can your 100% off get off your office, do the something. That's why for the CareFirst and Dr. Hui have this kind of vision. He also want to convert this vision to each one of our daughter. How our daughter have this kind of the vision, how to run our business. This is the second level, I think. You first you have the your skill. You use your skill to we call to make money. The second, you have to know second level. You have to know how to run your office. Run your office efficiently. Okay, and this is one thing. Okay, you first make money from your skill, and the second from your business, and the third level. We are before for many years. I just practice my own. I just we. I think it's a good thing is for the COVID. The COVID thing let us connect each other. We open the Zoom meeting and then we know each other. Okay, for the past almost 6 years. I expand me to reach out to know a lot of the data about that. So if we are gathered together, I remember in the 2023, yeah, we have the NDPO first meeting in the Dr. Stephen Swiss Houston area. That time we have almost 30 daughter gathered together. That time we have the vision. Okay, if we are bonding together, we have some the power. Okay, after that we do a lot of the group buy, we buy the bone graft, buy the memory, okay? We get pretty good at the price. Why this company, before we never we negotiate with them, it's hard to let them reduce price. But when we bonding together, we get good price, okay? This is the things, the second level, I think that Dr. Hui is very good at this, and so we can negotiate with supply company. Okay, right now, we Dr. We already negotiate some supply company, and dental lab, okay, and even the insurance, okay, the PPO insurance, we can get the good fee about that, okay, and so this way let us reduce the whole overnight overhead, okay. This is the third level, and fourth level, we practice. We have thinking about when we get off our practice. Okay, then exists retirement. Some doctor, I have a story. I tried to buy a couple of years ago. I tried to buy an office in my near my home. Okay, the doctor already 82 years old. And because he's 82, he cannot, his office, before, he told me, before his office can run about a million, but right now it's just 200, something like that. Okay. So he begged me, let me buy his office, but the thing is, when you're getting old, you lost your strength, okay? Your business value get down. So you have to plan thinking ahead to how to, to get get retired, okay? At least as some of the suggestion, Dr. Hui and I, we went to a lot of this kind of training, 5 year. Okay, you have to at least plan, at least have 5 year. But for me, I told my story. Okay, before I just I have built up an office. My associate want to buy it. I sold my associate. Yeah, you cannot sell your office is a good price. If $1 million, because the bank only lend the as dentist 600 is a maximum. Okay, for the individual daughter, yeah. So you cannot sell your office a high price. Okay, but if we bonding together, if you are in the DSO, you can, and later Dr. Hui and Dr. Han will talking about how calculate your office, the EBITDA, okay? The EBITDA, you can sell your office, not only just 6, 8, you maybe 10, something more than that, okay? That's the EBITDA, the financially, the figure lets you, but yourself, sell individual, not good. But if we bonding together, we can sell to the big buyer, like private user, equity. Okay, they are not like me. We have to sell the portion of my practice. You can double, even triple your business value. Okay, this is this part. Okay, Dr. Hui and Dr. Han. This both doctor. The reason they have this kind of region because both of them already 100% get off, don't do the daily dental work. They are what they are thinking about the little bit higher the business and the technique, especially for the Dr. Han. I think it's amazing. She developed the life seed, the software. We're talking a lot about that, but this time we try to, when you have the office, if you want to sell, you have to ask the CPA to calculate your EBITDA. Okay, but the Dr. has the software. It's easy to deal with that. That's very good news. So the first level, you have to we have to thinking about the equity strategy. Okay, you get exist planning. That's very important. I think in our group, some doctor is getting the age to plan the return. But you better you plan right now, and also better we bonding join together to do that. Okay. And also the 5 level, it's higher level. For example, right now we are in the pre-DSO, but if we're real, we bonding together, okay? So this time, yesterday, Dr. Han teach us some technique, yeah, this is not only the theory, it's the reality, because Dr. Han she already run the office, use the technique, For example, think about that. We're talking about biomimetic for arch dentistry, If you each month you do 2 of them, that's the $100,000, and plus everything. It's the revenue pretty good, okay. But when we bonding together, we became the DSO. Right now there is some model like that, like M2,
B2, MB2.
MB2. Okay, MB2, they are just like doctor, share have the share with the DSO. You still own your office, the percentage of the office, but don't you can enjoy both the equity grow, and also you have your own equity. That's wonderful. I think the AI age, we have to thinking about this. Okay, yeah. So the later we were talking the once the private equity by the DSO, they are not like the private personal, the people talk to you, by the office, bargaining with you. They are give you very good multiple the EBITDA value. Okay, this is the thing. So we think about identities. We have the 5 level. We first level we can use our skill to make a profit. The second level, we learn the business, run the business. But the business level also have a lot of the skill there. Okay, we can learn. We can bonding together. We can learn each other. Okay, even learn higher from higher level dentists do that. Then we can bonding together. We can have the power of negotiate the powers, negotiate with the supply lab and even insurance. Talking about that. Then later the fourth level, yeah, in the equity strategy, we can increase our whole value. Then later we bonding together, if the we are good, we are lucky, we sell to the private equity and the IPO, you can imagine it's a lot of the potential for us. Okay, this is I think the version we have. Okay, then yeah, here they summarize the journey. Okay, I think I just uh, make everything here, and after I think another thing is the dentist is not our whole thing. We have other things in our life. We have the family, we have the friend, even we have our religion. Yeah. This is thing. What I'm thinking. I always give my time, not totally 100% to the dentistry. We have some other things. Okay, so for me, the weekend is pretty busy. We go to the church. We have the brother and the sister there. We enjoy the church life. It's wonderful. Okay, but the things meanwhile as dentist, yeah, we have to make our life balance. Okay, yeah. So and also here, Dr. We are we want to some the training for the business part. We are going to teach our doctor how to work less, make more. Maybe we just work. If you have mastered some of the managing skill, you maybe just work 1 day or 2 day. Yeah, that's what the later years of what I do. Yeah. Yeah, especially my second office, I just work. I think work 2 days, sometimes 3 days. Most time, let my associate to run that. Okay, that's so make our life balance. Okay. Okay, yeah, we think identity we have a lot to learn. But today, I gave I just summarized our vision here, and the next we maybe Dr. Hui can answer. You give us something idea and summarize the how our daughter, if join the CareFirst, they can benefit from that.
Absolutely. I think for those you do not know, I think most people does not know that Brother John is actually a pastor. He spent a lot of time in church, helping a lot of people. So I'm very grateful to be in his team. And I think another very very brilliant person is Dr. Hans Allison. She has very very, how should I put it? She's the only person that I know go directly to dental school without going to college. I don't know how that works. In the past, I actually thought that I was pretty good. I get into dental school and I get a full scholarship from University of Michigan. And I get a full scholarship from UCLA, which is at that time the number 2 and number 3 school. I didn't get to Harvard. Harvard was the number 1 school. Okay. But I still get to go to college. I graduate from highest honors with distinction, but I still got to college. It's 4 years. But Dr. Han go directly from high school to dental school without going to college. And she go from Montreal to United States, cross the country barrier to go to dental school. So you can imagine, how bright she is. So I have to say, when you hang out, you have to kind of work together with people with the brightest mind. That's one of the philosophy that I have. I always thought that if you are the smartest people in the group, you probably need to find another group. And then the important thing, there's a lot of bright people in the team. I think, although we don't have a huge, amount of people in here, we usually have most of the doctors see the video on YouTube. And then we kind of put it spread out to the rest of the doctor. We probably have about, I would say, probably 700-800 doctors that is in the group. And then when we go through the process with the private equity, we've seen quite a few, and Dr. Hans is going to talk about that a little bit. Dr. Hans also going to talk about her Uber experience, that she was invited to get the closing speech for the Uber company as a CEO of a startup. And then she's also going to talk about, a few other things. But I think she's very optimistic. I learned a lot from her. And then, she's going to talk about how we all went to few private equity group to discuss how we bring our numbers up. If you sell it, anybody can sell it to DSO. You work for the DSO for 5 years, and then the bottom line is, when you work for the DSO for 5 years, you probably the most you'll get is probably 1 to 3 times your EBITDA. How do you get to 18 times your EBITDA? That's another story. And the goal is how to roll up the first time, the second time, and the third time. And that's something that I learned, which I'm going to show it in a little video. I didn't mention it to you, Dr. John. I mean, I sent you a video last time. I'm going to probably use that video because it's, I have a few video. I have 4 video. Some of them are Chinese, some of them are English. So, the Chinese one is a little bit really to the Chinese audience, but it kind of summarize how, how private equity work. Because the bottom line is, 20 years ago, at the same time I was doing my building, 20 years ago, I think I was working with a group called DIA, and I think I mentioned to you, we were thinking about going public at that time, and there was like 4 doctors, also, and then each doctor was very accomplished with me at the same time, but we didn't go well because we have, sometimes you have to have the right people. Having the right people is everything. Having the right people make the difference of success and failure. That's why we're looking for the right people, not the one that is just interested. We're not looking for the people just interested. We're looking for the people who is committed. There's a big difference between interesting in something like a hobby or seriously committed. Because ultimately, we have to take you to a different level, okay? Let's say if you're doing 1 million, we had to take you to maybe $5 to $6 million a year. So we take that number so we can go get a bigger volume, so we can put it to a number that, the private equity is going to go. So that's the growth that we're looking at. And Dr. Han's going to talk about the growth, how most dental office basically maybe actually growing about 2%. The Chinese offices is probably a little bit more because most Chinese dentists is a little bit hardworking. I'm very fortunate. I have, one or two, Chinese dentists used to work with me, and I have, one or two Chinese dentists still work with me, and these are very hardworking people. Okay, most of them are from China. They can see probably 70 people in a day back home. Okay, but in United States they probably see like 20 or 30. They're just very fast and efficient because they're used to the fast paced. So their numbers is going to be higher, their growth is going to be higher. But what we're going to do is we're going to take them to a different level, laterally and vertically, horizontally and vertically. That's how I see some of the bigger player like DEO, where Dr. John and me and going to join, and some of the bigger player that have like 20, 30 offices, and they have a volume over many figures. How they do it, and then we summarize, and we're going to work together in that fashion. So maybe Dr. Han can share some of her story. I mean, I think that Hans was, she had a small accident. So yes, I'm surprised yesterday she was doing so well. Yesterday she was going through her speech. I watched part of it because I have a little family situation, but she go over that part. She had a little accident. I think she broke a bone or something, but she was very, strong to, she broke something. Okay, she'll tell you. Okay, Dr. Hans, you want to say something?
Thank you, Dr. Hui. I think you're too nice. I mean,
I'm not trying. I'm not trying. I mean, I have never seen anybody that break a bone and smile. Okay, and you break a bone recently. Okay, you cannot walk. You cannot walk, and then you still like act like if I talk to you today, I thought that there's nothing happened to you. But when I talk to you on the phone, you say you break a bone, and then you keep laughing and joking. I say, wow, I could not do that.
Yeah,
I could not do that. You're good.
Yeah.
You're on that level. I'm very proud of you.
Well, Dr. Hui, you're too kind. I think everyone here are great doctors and dentists, right? And I think it's really nice to be part of this group. So I feel very grateful. I mean, Dr. Zhang and Dr. Hui, we've been meeting every week, and I got to know you guys, both of you. You're very hardworking, and the intention is very, it's a good intention for the group. So I do admire that, and that's why I want to be part of it. So yeah. Yeah, I broke my bone because I was jumping from stone to stone, and then I landed on the metacarpal, and it's not weight bearing bone, so I crushed it with my weight. So I just need a plate and some screws now. But yeah, that's it. But it's not, yeah.
It's like a band-aid, She sounds like she just like a band-aid. She cannot walk, and she's supposed to be in pain. And then she's like joking and laughing like nothing happened. It was happened recently. I got to give it to you. I don't think anybody can do that.
Well, thank you, Dr. Hui.
I want to add something here, okay? I visited Dr. Han's office in the Seattle Redmond. Yeah, it surprised me, okay? I never saw a Chinese doctor running the office like that. Right now, Dr. Han already 100% don't work in that office, she training two associate and Dr. Michael Yan and his one brain doctor. They do that day I went to the office. I saw the Dr. An doing the four arch reconstruction. The patient sit there, just take the photo. It's beautiful, and they don't like me. I before I think I'm pretty good. I did a lot of 4 hours implant, but my figure is not that good. Like the doctor. Doctor I don't think her office do a lot of implant like me, but they run in the very efficiently, and especially we know Dr. Han is a college center training. College center. Before I heard, I didn't pay attention to that, but right now we have some young doctor ask me to how I get training by the call center. I say I tell them the website, but they say they are put me in the 2 years waiting list. Okay, so this the technique, it's amazing because right now Dr. Han developed technique. You don't need so for the implant we have a lot of pressure. We do the implant there, we need on for immediate loading lot. But Dr. Han, if you know how to diagnose it, occlusion, how the treatment plan, you can gradually use the composite build up. Later, you can change it to the permanent. They have the whole training. Then also the result is very good. Okay, and also for the past many years, he developed life sheet AI revenue cycle management. Why I saw that it's amazing. I think this is the future for our practice. Yeah. So I'm sorry, Dr. Han, I interrupted, but also Dr. Han, she have the heart to share her knowledge with our dentist. Especially
I mean,
for
I benefit a lot myself. I mean, I one of my office, I mean, I was at like, my review is not so good because most of the time I'm not in the office. Okay, most of the time I'm not in the office. I mean, I don't want to embarrass myself. Some of my staff is here. If you ask my staff what time I show up in the office, I only show up very little time. Like when people get off, I showed up. Okay, so I go there, collect money, and then I talk to the staff what happened today. So when I go to the office, I learned that my review was like a little bit behind schedule. The Hans have like a 4.9, a lot. So the Hans share with me how she does it. So I kind of tell my staff in that office, I have a nice office, like, I have an office. I purchased most of my office. This one I purchased like 15 years ago. I bought the space. It was the whole retail space in a downtown area. So upstairs there's like 350 family, and I took all the space. 90% of the space in the retail space, which is probably around 7,000-8,000 square feet. And then, we're doing something a little bit additional this year. We're doing some Alzheimer's clinic, and we're doing some cancer therapy as well. So we add additional stuff to it. But what I learned from Dr. Hans is the fact that she taught me in 5 minutes, and I teach my staff how to collect the review. So I jumped from 4.2 to 4.6, and then everybody is like obsessed. Okay, everybody in my office, in that office is obsessed. Some of them, will tell you they're obsessed with getting review. So, it's impressive. And then, and then a few other things like, how we're gonna promote, the team mentality to grow and set a good example, and that really make a huge, difference. So the key to summarize something and take it to implementation with measurements and reviews and be able to make a final outcome. That's very important. That's like take it to the end zone. So without further blocking, your speech, go ahead, Rahan. My apologies.
No, I think I'll talk a little bit about like the condition of the healthcare market. Like I'll take a little bit from the speech I did for Uber on Wednesday, and then I'll talk a little bit what technology is about, and a little bit why the technology is required to have organic growth for practices, right? And right now, all the practice have about 2.53% growth. I think we confirmed that with Chris from Allied Dental Partner, ADP. And then we'll talk a little bit about how do we get that organic growth. And then the inorganic growth, Dr. Hui, do you want to talk about the inorganic growth from a like DSO standpoint? How do you obtain the organic?
I think you can elaborate on it. I have a little summary, which is in Chinese. I'm going to share with them. But ultimately, the organic growth, I want you to start telling them, because most of the time, kind of like how we deliver something, it's going to take consistent, handoff to carry the message. So, I want you to give them your version, and I'll give them my version. So this way, it's a little bit easier to understand.
Okay, and Dr. Zhang, work really hard on the slides. So we'll use Dr. Zhang's slides as well. So I will start with the organic growth, but I'll talk, I think Dr. Hui said I should share a little bit the slides that I have for Uber. It's a good summary. So
You share it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, good. Let me stop sharing.
Dr. Zhang, I'll start with the organic growth first, and then we'll come back to your side for the inorganic growth. Okay, so I guess we'll do the entire screen here. So I did present on Wednesday to Uber. I was the guest closing speaker for Uber. As for the leadership summit, it's twice a year, and this is for the security teams, for the chief information security officer at Uber. Obviously, they have different platforms, and security one of their biggest concern, and that's a team. And the team gathered from New York to San Francisco to Seattle, and there's other places that they came. So basically, Uber have some problem with innovation right now. They spend millions, but they can't innovate. Just like Microsoft OpenAI, it was a good bet for Microsoft to invest in OpenAI. And now Microsoft is selling tools, right, for the AI workflow, also infrastructure like GitHub, and also agentic workflow where the AI can build apps. If you tell, hey, I want to build this app, the AI will actually start. I mean, and then so Microsoft is making a lot of money by selling tools for engineers or for entrepreneurs like me to build AI systems. But Uber is competing with Waymo and Tesla, who have driverless car, which is a threat for them, and they don't know how to innovate, and they want to innovate. So that's what the meeting was about. So what I presented was pretty much what's going with healthcare. And I think I won't spend too much time here, but basically our healthcare system is outdated, and we mainly have tribal knowledge. It's like the doctor goes to college and then we pass on this knowledge to a staff, right? It's a manual process. It's not standardized. Every practice has its own way of doing things. It's very manual. And then we have a lot of regulations within healthcare. And then the technology we use is like a fax machine. We don't even use DocuSign. And people think it's very weird. Like we even have a printer, and people say, you shouldn't have a printer. You shouldn't print things out and scan it. So it's very outdated. And then we have massive data, but the data, they don't talk together. Insurance company don't talk to us. So we have a lot of data. It just like it's siloed. It's just isolated. And then on top of that, like my talk with Uber was mostly healthcare, right? So I give an example, like by 2027, we're going to have 85,000 MD, like medical doctor shortage, and 400,000 nurses shortage. And, we deal with this kind of outdated system, a lot burned out. So the cycle gets worse, right? So in a hospital, we charge $4,000 for a Tylenol. People say, oh my God, your doctor, right, makes a lot of money. Well, like, yeah, but we don't make a lot of money. We charge a lot, but we don't make a lot of money. So the profit is not optimized just because the system that we have, outdated system, burned out, short staff, the school don't graduate the right staff for us. Or profit is just not optimized. And hospital or outpatient clinic, like dental practices, we're squeezed between insurances and this inefficiency here. So we started in dental first. So basically, US, we spend $4.9 trillion a year in healthcare, and 1 trillion, actually it's more than that, probably 1.2 trillion, because that was like 4 trillion back in 2020. And then with COVID, it inflated to 4.9 in 2023. Right now, what, 2025, that number is probably 5 trillion by now. So the waste is probably more. And then they say 30% came from revenue cycle management, insurance filing, and things like that. And then staff management. And then the opportunity that you lose, right? Because if we can't get the claim paid, or we can't get the pre-D, or staff don't know how to answer the phone, we cannot convert. Patient don't want to come to the doctor because they don't know how the insurance works. So there's like 2 trillion opportunity, like waste, right? Like we can see more patients, but people don't want to come in because this is so expensive. It's expensive because it's under the illusion that nothing gets paid by the insurance, or we don't know how much we'll get paid, right? It's like a big a black hole, how much things going to get paid or not. So the advertising industry where Google or Facebook is about 455 billion, but only medical itself, right? It's 500 billion. Dental is about 174 billion, which is a lot just for dental. The vet, they don't use the insurances, but they're about 42 billion. And the insurance itself is 3 times the medical. So you know where the patient's paying the insurance, it's not paying the doctor or the dentist, but it's paying here, and they're keeping all this money. So and remember, right, Google and Facebook, they're on a 455 billion industry, and then this this business go to IPO. So I mean, billions, I'm not sure how to translate that into million, and trillions. It's so a lot of money is in insurance companies, and they make a lot of money, but it's very hard to really get dispensed to us. So
That's
yeah,
very sad, you know. Mhm.
yeah, it's
The insurance company is smarter than us.
Yeah.
Okay. We basically work for them. So we had to
right.
figure out a plan B.
Right. So we start in dental, and right now we're building something in medical, and we have partners like InterSystems and Microsoft healthcare startups that we're part of the incubator. So we're working with them to create some new technology, and our technology is basically we have a system interface like a clinician app. We don't have a patient app yet. We're just building a clinician app. And then the system data, healthcare has a lot of data, like transactional, like also data coming from patient practice and insurances. And then we have a system engine, like how to fuse this data, because the data is actually silo. Took us some time to figure it out, how to fuse them together. And then we have system engine where we take this data and then we feed into the AI, the machine learning, or another deep machine learning model. And then we take 24 years of turnkey workflow in my practice, and then we guide it through the machine learning. And then we create like real-time intelligence, interactive intelligence, and emotive intelligence. That one we put on hold because apparently not a lot of people want to be positive. I don't know. It just like right now we're dealing basically with these 2 AI here. So we can predict a profit and a productivity, right? So a lot of data, we process a lot of data, workload, not just AI workload, but like how do you extract the data? How do you load it? How do you transfer, like it's like ELT, right? And then we transfer this data and we analyze this data, and then we have to visualize this data, and how do we make this data materialize to pop in front of you, right? It takes time for this data to come in front of you, but we make it faster. And then it's something new, that's fairly new in technology, and that's something we specialize in. It's called execution technology, means that the data is actually doing work for you. So we felt that we want to go to revenue cycle management. When I was in Washington, D.C., and we were listening to Innovolon, one is a data processing and clearinghouse. So they say that, I mean, this slide, I just took a photo, iPhone photo. They say why the claims get denied. And these are the top 3 reasons. Insurance eligibility and benefit verification. So you don't verify the insurance. Every time a patient comes to your office, you don't verify insurance, right? And if you don't verify it, then you don't input the eligibility. You don't understand what's the eligibility for that plan, right? So at that level, people make a lot of mistakes. That's the biggest reason why claim get denied. I mean, we write off a lot. Like right now, if you take PPOs, you're compensated 50% of the fee that you should be charging the patient. But now on top of that, your claims get denied by 10, 20%. So it's even lesser money for the practices. And this is a main reason, verification and eligibility input. And then authorization. I know that right now in medical, we try to like just e-claim 15 years ago, we filed the claim electronically. Right now, they're going towards e-prioritization, and they have to be done by 2027. But there's only really 3 clearinghouses, and we're having a hard time because if one clearinghouse is doing we call EPA, then they don't do like CMS payer. And then we're like, okay, what do we pick? What do we choose, right? And then the one that does all this payer, they don't have EPA technology because technology implementation is very, very slow in healthcare. And that's one of the things as a AI startup, it's very difficult for us because we try to do this data and automate it using electronic platform, and people are not there, and dentistry is even more behind. So our solution has to be very creative, because in medical it's more automated, but even then it's behind. In dental is even more behind. So technology stack that we use from Microsoft doesn't always apply, so we have to be extremely creative. And then the patient registration and information, like if your patients call you and your staff take the information, oftentimes my staff get lazy and they're like, okay, this is a spouse, right? But they don't put the spouse, they put self. And then when we extract the data, it doesn't work. The extra has some relationship issues, so we had to go in and correct it. So if you don't put the spouse, then it's pointing to the wrong subscriber ID, the wrong birthday, and then the claim get rejected because we still filing e-claim. And then you're like, why is the claim rejected, right? And then you're like, okay, so my front office got lazy or wasn't training well, or like they input the wrong birthday, or they just didn't input the new patient's data. And then we saw a patient and then we don't know. And then we have to like call the patient, say, hey, can you give me the data? We need to file a claim, and the patient don't answer your phone call, right? So these are the main reason, and that's what we are solving in terms of technology. And we see our competitors, they don't do a great job at that level. So we want to do a great job at 99% accuracy and solve this kind of data problem. And obviously you can see that, like invalid claim date, like something's wrong there. The coding is wrong, medical coding, which we all know could be very detrimental if you code it wrong. You submit the claims too late. So you might not have like, one dentist working in the office, the other one's not credentialed with your PPO insurance. I mean, there's other reasons, but these are the three main reasons that we try to solve as a tech company. So this is to go back to the organic growth. I was studying this paper in 2022 with my CFO, and we extracted from Canada's one of the biggest DSO, and we're trying to understand why they went bankrupt. And I mean, they got bought out by another company, so they're still existing. But what they're measuring is that inorganic growth was the main reason why DSO stay afloat. They buy a practice that's $2 million, then it suddenly becomes their income as well, right? So the problem, I think this is inorganic growth. I think Dr. Hui will mention a little bit more about it. So the question we have is like, how do you grow this organic growth, right? So we focus on revenue cycle management, but basically this revenue cycle management, your HR system, operation, marketing, procurement, which is like supplies, your legal structure. You don't want to incorporate things wrong. The accounting system, if you're incorporating different states, you don't want to make a mistake there because the payroll laws are a little bit different everywhere. The clinical oversight, like how do you operation, I mean, if you have a cancellation hygiene, like, you know what I mean, operation, clinical operation. I just don't want to take too much time. And then your IT network, your culture and your training. So these are the elements that we look like. If you're in the red, it's like a mom and pop. And then if you're on the blue side or the green side, your investment grade. And then if you build DSO, everyone wants to be this, majority of the client wants to be here, right? So we do have a process to get there, to get to this level so that you can have an organic growth that's more than 2.5%, which is like a national average right now. And one of the strategies that we deploy as a technology company is called revenue operations. It's a term that in finance people use a lot. So what you do is that every business has a team, has data, and has a customer. And what we aim, for example, my Amazon is that same-day delivery. So customer wants same-day delivery. So you take the team and you try to bring that level. You take the data and try to bring that level. So we focus on like, patient wants to know how much I pay and I want to pay today. And I want this to be accurate. So we specialize in revenue cycle management mainly because of that. So revenue operations align the team, the data, and what customer wants to build a successful practice. So have more profit at the end of the day. And what we do is that in this process, the critical area, we replace the team members. So we replace the insurance coordinator, the treatment plan coordinator, and to a certain level, the claims specialist. So that way, when you have happy customer, then you have internal marketing. Internal marketing, we all know Disney is a good example, is much more powerful than external marketing. So that's what we do in terms of how do we approach this organic growth using technology, understanding what's the critical area to improve the growth, and AI those areas so that we're not as much human dependent. And I think the other growth area that we're looking at is also, so I'm working in partnership with AbnoMed right now and with Wesper. So we took Vivos. I'm not sure if you guys know Vivos is sleep OSA company. But the technology is not as the same than AbnoMed. I'm not going to explain what's the difference here, but basically, if you have 200 hygiene patients a month, then you can actually convert 25%, right? Like let's say 50% actually do have OSA, obstructive sleep apnea, but you can only convert 25% of those patients, and you have 50 patients, right? And then we were running this ad with ApnoMed, and we know that we can convert about 40 new patients that's looking for OSA. So the sleep appliance, we calculate it's about 3,000 to 4,005. We use a high-end number, and then your own. So this is like a combinations of your own patients and the new patients. So we do ortho in my practice. So some patient might need ortho, not just a sleep appliance. It's just a technique that ApnoMed use. And then there's a surgical case, but it's not orthodontic surgery. It's like we split the suture open on the maxilla and the mandible. And then we start cranking the bone. One of my friends in plastic surgery, Merkel, and he spent his career in what we call distraction osteogenesis. So distraction means like pulling, and osteogenesis means generating the bone. So they pull the bone, the maxilla and the mandible, and we build bone. It's actually a real bone that's been created. And then up to 10 centimeter, not 10 millimeter. And then you close his teeth, so they don't have a gap between 8 and 9 and 24, 25. So we run this kind of numbers, and the workflow between billings, between diagnosis and appliance and the doctors and the team to run this, right? Because this is a technique, and then they build a system to deliver this technique. But then what we do as a step further, the workflow, like how do you build this? How do you answer the phone call? How do you convert them? What's your team look like clinically? What's your doctor looks like in terms of training? How do you convert this patient once they're in your chair? And how do you take payments? How do you get paid? At the time of the service and not wait, right? So we guesstimate like it's probably 480K a month. Obviously, yesterday we talked about full mouth using composite and maybe PMMA. So we're trying to say, hey, if we can increase 10,000, if not 50,000 per month, like what is this practice looks like? So this is what we call revenue enhancement, and that's part of the reason why we feel like we can get to that 10% growth rate compared to other DSO. Obviously, I'm testing out with my practice. We're having another voice dentist joining us to just test out this process. And we're working with ApnoMed and Wesper to really run this kind of pilot project for the next 3 months. But we're very committed. It's not like we're running it. I mean, he literally is moving here. So it's a huge permanent commitment from our part. But I guess we'll show the data once we're done.
Dr. Yeah, I have a question. I'm very excited about that, the sleep apnea, the things, because right now, last time we were talking about it, because right now with the Whisper, they are online service, and also they can just 2 visit. Is that right? Or 2 visit or 3 visit, we get to pay for insurance with your system.
I mean, that's what we're aiming. We're working the workflow so that you diagnose the patients and then you get a pretty out through EPA. We're still testing how solid this EPA is. It's even for medical world, it's not very well implemented yet. It's probably going to mature by 2027. But then they do push a deadline if they cannot implement it. So the e-platform is still very weak, but we are hoping 2 appointments so that way you have the patient come in, diagnosis, scan, but we're not quite there. So I'm working it out through my practice. But yeah, ideally 2 appointments, and then you get paid like 3,000 up to 4,500. Invisalign will not be paid, but one thing that a partnership with ApnoMed is that a lot of these patients willing to pay the appliance out of pocket. Like they pay 3,000, 4,000, complete out of pocket. And then we say to them, you file your own insurance, medical insurance claim, and they're willing. A lot of these patients are willing, which was very shocking to us. We didn't expect that reaction. So obviously we want to improve the pre-authorization and the filing, medical filing. And that's something I'm working with ApnoMed. And then if the medical insurance pay, then we felt like if they are willing to pay $3,000-4,000, they probably will be willing to pay like 4,000 or 5,000 for Invisalign as well. Because the first level is ApnoMed. It's just an appliance. Amno TX is the appliance plus the Invisalign. And then the third level is the 60,000 cases where you have to break the suture and then you do the appliance plus Invisalign plus the suture. We involve the oral surgeon at that point, but we do Invisalign. And then level 4 is where we do the appliance, we do Invisalign, we break the suture, and then we do full mouth reconstruction, which is like something that we are very interested as a coist dentist, and our practice handle all that full mouth reconstruction. So that's why we are very actively working with this workflow, with medical billing, with our partners to really create hopefully 2 appointments, right? But then as this patient go for ApnoMed 1 level 1, it's not going to cure the OSA. They're going to have to, if it's mild, we have to do Invisalign. Like we expand and we open up vertical. It's hard to open a vertical with Invisalign. And then if like you have moderate severe cases, then we go to suture surgery and then full mouth reconstruction. Because this patient are 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. So full mouth is usually indicated because of the wear and tear on his teeth. But yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Before I do the medical billing for the sleep apnea, take me about the 5 visits. A lot of the paperwork, the details. So I think with the AI, just 2 visits is awesome. I hope, yeah, this will, add more value for our, the CareFirst. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think another thing that Dr. Han didn't really mention is the fact that, the connection is basically mostly online. So the patient doesn't really need to go to a sleep center and all these things. So all the workflow is pretty much very fast, efficient, and you don't have to worry also that you're going to lose your patient. A lot of time people refer the patient to doctors and they might lose the patients, because they go somewhere else, they don't come back. So everything you drive, you actually design your drive to do that. And it's another level in the sense that the detail also tells you that sleep apnea cases, you can probably do it every 2 years. So it's kind of like Invisalign, but you just can collect it every 2 years. Okay, so that's why the numbers that she mentioned to me, that you see, $480,000 per month, increase is just basically based on the 200 patient that you have, so it's a big promise. We just have to work out the workflow. But I think the key is we should have every sector of dentistry a key ingredient of what we focused. And Dr. Hans also teach me how she implement the new doctors in, which is very interesting because how she integrate the new doctors in, it's just one doctor specialized in doing one thing. Okay, that is actually a very, very good philosophy. Then nobody had to compete with anybody, So one doctor just focused on sleep apnea, doing that, majority of the income of that, and one doctor specialize maybe in cosmetic, and one doctor specialize in Invisalign. Say in my office, I kind of specialize in Invisalign. And I think yesterday some of the doctor were saying, I was kind of busy, I couldn't really jump into the call, but one of the doctor was saying that they don't have experience and they were hesitant, to go into the classes. My experience is it's actually a bigger opportunity for you because, we're going to end up doing it anyway. Just like when we first do, a root canal, we kind of failed, but after you do 1,000 of them, then you don't really fail that easy. Your chances go up because of your experience. And then at that time, you don't think anymore. I always want to be like Dr. John. I don't have to think about doing implants, okay? But I cannot because, I figure I have surgeon, I have periodontist in my office. Why am I doing implant for? The only reason that I wanted in the past, the only reason I want to learn about implants so I can tell the new associate that come to the office that I have something to teach them. That's my philosophy, why I need to learn about implant. Otherwise, all the new doctors come out, they want to have a mentor. They want to learn about implants. So if you don't know anything, how are you going to tell them? I usually choose the easy way out. So I learned a lot about Invisalign. So, I think 1 year, I was very popular with Invisalign. I did 750 cases, 1 year, and then I become the Diamond Plus. And through that journey, I learned that once you do 700 cases, you actually know what to do. The key is you need to do enough cases. You don't do enough cases, you really do not know. I mean, when I first started, I didn't know anything. I was just doing a little bit at a time, and I was just trying to see, what to do, how to fix the posterior open bite. I mean, I'm not like Dr. Liu in Canada. He do his cases in a different level. He's one step above me. Okay, so he create everything back to a class 1 situation. Okay, that's a different level. I cannot do that, but by doing more, I finally figure out how to do these things much more efficient. How to open teeth first and then close them back. Align the rotation first is much easier for the teeth to move. So I learned those little tricks by doing. And then Dr. Gao, which is one of the most, funny dentists that I met, he was here last weekend taking the full arch marketing class. He was a little bit more experienced than I am. And for him, he take his son and come here and learn about marketing for full arch. And, half an hour I was sitting with him. He teach me everything about implants, that I just, theory is theory. Just get your hands wet. If you don't get your hands wet, you're not going to master that. And it's very, very true. You don't get your hands wet, you're not going to be mastering it. So that's, really take to heart. You have to take yourself to the next level because, like it or not, if you don't do it, somebody else will do it, and you're just going to fall behind. And that's the reality. We want to be the top 1%, and hopefully we'll become the top 1% of the top 1%. So even though we fail, we're still in that category. And the Hans also have 99% collection in her office. I mean, I don't have 99% collection in my office. I'm very fortunate. I have a new manager that joined me recently. His name is Dimitri. I think he might be in this call. I'm not so sure if he's in this call, but he come from Philadelphia, and he's an IT background. He's not a dentist, but he owned 2 offices in Philadelphia, and I don't want to say it, but kind of embarrassed me a little bit. His 2 offices gross him $5 million. Okay, he actually is an IT guy owning 2 offices that gross $5 million. When I listen to that, I mean, I'm a dentist. I don't even gross $2.5 million per office. I'm close to hitting it once upon a time, but I'm not hitting that now. So I'm very fortunate to have the right people in my team, that knows what they're doing, and that's having the right people is very important. And the fact that we have the stock option to offer to our team, and give them some, commitment, so that they'll have not only ownership as a team, but also set a good example for the rest of us. And I think that's very, very important. So that when they are doing, most of our work, just like the Hans work 1 day a week. Okay. So when the people have ownership in their business and they're putting their best, so we can take some time back to ourselves. Taking the time back is a very important thing, especially when we're getting more, more mature. We're not doing 8 hours a day, to push ourselves to get to that level of numbers. Most doctors that I know from AACA, and I belong to quite a few group, and some of these people, still work 5 days, but most of them work like 4 days, and some of them work 2 days. So they squeeze all the day, within the same amount of production. But think about it, if you could do 5 days or 6 days a week. Most of my office, they operate 6 days a week. And then you have somebody taking care of most of the business, and you just check in, looking at the dashboard and see the finance coming in, and then you just have to coach them how to make things work. That's a very passive way of working that you can really see how, it makes a huge difference. Most of the office, I think that a guy told me, this guy, his name is of DSN. He's from Filipino, and he's Filipino guy. And then he has. When I first met him, I think he had 4 offices. Now he has 16 offices. He was teaching the dental network institute, and he have surgical classes. And then he was doing very, very well. He have a convention every year. It's just because he learned how to back off and have digitized system that take care of his business. So that's a very, very important key where we all learn how to take it to the next level. I think actually I talk a little slow, so I probably need to speed up a little bit. I actually have two thing I need to share first.
Oh, that's definitely, I agree with you. That's why you have to run a business using data. So KPI, key practice indicator that my team knows, and every morning, they just send me a group text to see did we hit the KPI or not. I mean, there's 300 KPI, but there are a few that is critical to make sure, and that's what revenue operation means, right? You align your team with data, and then the data should guide you towards customer success. So I think it's important to run the business based on data, and life is it's all about data, right? And I think we are trying to AI the system so that your administrative team, it's that you should depend mostly on a clinical team, just like an airport, right? I mean, airline. Your cabin crew, you still need it to operate the plane and the service, but your administrative team, you could potentially not have them. And it's like you're looking at maybe, a cut of probably like $80,000 a year less, so that you don't have to hire someone more experienced like that, and really have a system. Because right now, Microsoft, 50% of the code is actually written by AI. So we see some layoff, restructuring, because unfortunately, fortunately, 50% of codes are written by AI, not by humans. So like right now we're building medical software, and we use lesser, it costs us less because mostly it's generated by AI, and then also it's a bit faster. But then because we want to build it well, there's a few things that we are changing as we're building it, but it's definitely a different level of app building, right? So it might cost us 4 times the amount 10 years ago to run a practice. But with AI, why not bring it down to like 50%? That's what we're thinking. That's how we increase the growth, organic growth. But and that, I mean, it's a lot of hard work. It's like Dr. Hui say, it takes time to master a skill. It takes time to master a workflow or a system or even a technique. It just takes time.
Absolutely. Do you see I shared the screen while we're talking? Well, not really.
You're close. You just I saw your sheet.
Yeah, I just stopped because I talk a little bit too much, too slow. So I just want to go over some of the key ingredient, that we have focused on as far as before, when I talk about just having digitized your system, because most doctors that I've seen, they haven't really digitized the system. You have to digitize your system. So when new people comes in, because you're gonna lose some people over time, when new people comes in, they can jump on it right away. And that's a very important concept. And have it like the automation. Have automation that automatically people automatically bring into the office, reactivation. You don't have to go. I mean, some of the pain point that I have before, and I still have, okay, is really having the best team member that work. And then because if you have the best team member, think about it, how do you, it's really difficult to compete with the DSO today because they have the resource and stuff. So in order to compete with them, you have to have the same resources. So really, you don't have a choice not to, strengthen up your team to be able to compete. So by just having a group, just like, for example, Dr. Han's very smart, and I'm, actually okay as far as, learning how to do systems. So you have somebody that cover your weaknesses. And then Dr. John is very strong in implementation. So the work get implemented. So what we always see, the suite is you have strong people, and then you have a stronger team that a lot of doctors that we have, like Dr. Eddie Lu, Dr. Ye and Dr. Gao, a lot of these doctors, and I'm going to bring in some of my periodontists, Dr. Michael Liss, and some of the other doctors that willing to contribute the knowledge to strengthen up together as a commitment to make us much, much stronger. Because it's always a team that really create the opportunity. So it's really hard to do it ourselves. So it doesn't matter how much I like it, how smart I am, I won't be able to swing it all by myself. And then every year I have an issue with insurances, collecting money. I mean, if I have a little meeting with Dimitri, he's telling me, okay, your insurance, a lot of the claim is not getting paid. And then your staff might not go over there with your 100%, but I can go over this. And then, you might be make it a lot easier. And then I also talk to some of, the hygienists that, in my team. I'm very lucky to have really strong, people that left my team and, work somewhere else and come back and teach me how they do it so they can increase the volume of their collection. And I kind of learned that recently, that your hygiene is supposed to pay for all your overhead. I didn't know that before. I thought it's really the doctor, but I learned that the hygiene, the new girl just come to my office. I think her name is Dania. She used to work for DanMed. I'm very lucky to have these people. She used to work for DanMed. She's like the number one girls in DanMed. She come in and she said, your hygiene is supposed to pay for all your expenses, your overhead. Your doctor supposed to just collect whatever they do. Okay, and that's actually true. In my other friend's place, his office called Gentle Dental. We probably once we go into a group, we're gonna send NDA to our member, because certain things we really cannot talk as an open group, because of many other issues that we might come into. So if we have to open up, and discuss detail about trade secret, we have to work together to share. That's why I say earlier, being able to be committed and try to work as a team is the difference between interested. Because people interested, they would just do a little bit. Imagine, I mean, you go to any seminar, just like the one Dr. Gao went last week. He had to pay like $1,000, and if you didn't pay anything, you're not going to take it seriously. You only take something seriously when you pay something. But we have a commitment also to not only, we had to join DEO ourselves. Okay, that's $2,000. And we had to do, I had to join DSN, which is $1,000. I also had to join the Closing Institute, and then I also had to join the Training Institute. That alone is about $13,000 a month that we have to summarize everything and give it to you. And then we also have a team member, I'm lucky to have a team member that, take a lot of classes and teaches MGE. I think Dr. Hanley spent $100,000 learning about MGE, and we're going to share some of the key knowledge, how to bring your team to a next level. I mean, those things, we have to learn it, study it, summarize it, and spit it out in a very easy to learn format. So it would turn you to double or triple or quadruple your practice every year. That's really our goal. So when you grow, it's kind of like an MLM, multi-level marketing. If you grow, we grow. So that's the commitment that we want, to make sure that you're going to grow in that level. So we can, as a whole, when we go through Chris, the PE companies, they say that, we don't really need a lot of people. We just need to start with 25 very committed business. And then I think we pretty much already have 15 already. Okay, that's seriously committed.
Should we go through the private equity, like the...
Yes, please. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because I think you know Chris a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I met him probably 3 times, but part of doing startup is that we have to understand finance and VC and private equity. So I think Dr. Zhang's slide, we can use your slide. I can start, and Dr. Hui can continue for inorganic growth.
I think inorganic growth is just basically, I'm going to use Uber as an example. One of my patients is also the vice president of Uber. He told me this. He told me last 5 years, they have never made a profit. They have never made a profit, but the owner have made tremendous profit because of the inorganic growth, where people invest in their company. That's why Sage is not really making money. Some of the office is not really making money. I mean, how do Aspen spend $1 billion buying, Clear Choice? It's not their profit. It's just that they use a different way of inorganic growth to supplement their growth, so that they have, how should I say? In Chinese, we call it 融资. Okay, so you use other people's money to fuel, which is they use OPM. The smartest thing that I learned from Cody Sanchez is the fact that you use OPM, I use her word, you steal other people's homework. You use other people's homework, other people's resources, other people's money, other people's time. So it will fuel your expenses and your business growth. That's basically what I learned, from quite a few people that are smarter than I do. But that's basically how PE is going to help you to the first round, you'll grow maybe 3 times your EBITDA. The second round, you'll go another 3 times, you'll be 9 times. And the third round, you go another 3 times. So every single time you sell to a separate company or a bigger group, you keep part of your share, you keep part of your stock, and that part of stock is going to expand. Just kind of like, imagine if you buy Amazon or you buy Tesla before they become IPO. You grow 5,000 times your money to 10,000 times your money. That's really, once it goes IPO and then Tesla shoot up and, it wasn't, it was totally different. So your money just basically fly very fast. And that's really where, private equity is going to take you to a different level. That's why most companies, that's why Elon Musk is the richest guy. And I'm going to show you a slide later on how Elon Musk and his 25 best friend, they call it the mafia group. Okay. How they grow, but it's a short, thing. So I want to rush through it real quick so I can just show you. It's only a few minutes, but it kind of show, I follow Tai Lopez a little bit. He's one of the, heavy guru online. And then he's basically mapped out how people become the top of the food chain because they help each other to grow. And that's really the name of the game, win-win-win situation. Yeah, go ahead, Alison.
Okay.
Okay. You want to use my slide?
It was there, but suddenly disappeared.
Okay. This one?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Alison, you want to go over it?
Should we start from the beginning, Dr. Zhong? I think maybe the beginning might be a bit better here. So, I think the very, very top, maybe. So private equity is an interesting concept, and dentists have our own culture, and private equity has its own culture. And one thing that we need to understand is that you have to understand private equity culture first. And the way private equity works is that every 5 years, they're going to sell you to another private equity, and they can cash out the money they put into this group. And hopefully the money they put in would be, X amount, right? And like, let's say if I put 1 million, I'm hoping in 5 years I get $10 million out of it, 10 times, like 10x, right? So when you join as a dentist, a DSO, you become kind of like a private equity. And this is what we call inorganic growth. It has nothing to do with your practice. I mean, yes, it has to do with your practice, but same time, it's not like, it's an investment process. So startups are very well, like, we have to understand this finance, the structures and everything, because we behave similar ways than private equity. But so the way it works is that Dr. Hu is the CEO, and we haven't formed yet, and we want to start with 25 dental practices. And every year we need to generate 15% growth. 10% is good, but 15% is what we want. And private equity want us to be formed first because they don't want to come in and have 25 dentists arguing, we're not going to form this group. So when you form this group, Dr. Zhang showed $5,000, $5,000 to $6,000 a month, up to 9 to 12 months to form this group. Why 5,000 to 6,000 is because you have to pay a lawyer, and it's not any lawyer. It's like the type of lawyer that formed this entity. Like, let's say I'm in Seattle, Dr. Hu is in Florida, Dr. Zhang's in California. So we had to form one entity, but these entities, these practices work in different states, right? So, and then you have to talk about the cap equity, like depending how you value these practices, it turned that into stocks. So that's a lawyer fee. The second fee is accounting fee, the due diligence. LifeSeek can project some of your financial health, like transparency. That's why private equity is interested in us as a startup, because let's say I want to purchase a practice, I have to go in and digging all your data, and I don't want to do it. I'm an investor. I'm gonna hire an accountant or bookkeeper to do it, and that can go, a month. It might take a month to really dig out all this financial we call it due diligence, right? But as a LifeSeek, we can take this information from your database and project it very easy, create a very easy financial transparency. And then they will gauge, do I want to buy you or not? And if they want to buy you, then they're going to go ahead and create a financial statements. So you can bypass the financial transparency and go straight to financial statements. And after that is the payroll, because, every state triggers some sort of payroll taxes and retirement laws, right? So we don't want to do that. We're going to have a firm to manage that, like ADP, for example. But the $5,000 to $6,000 is there for the lawyer, for the accountant, for payroll to form an entity. So basically, we're the three founders, and you're paying us to form the entity, and we're not going to charge you 5,000 to 6,000. We'll charge less. We're thinking about 3,000, just because we have to make sure that the due diligence cover we're doing at the level. I mean, we're not going to be the accountant, the lawyer, or the HR we had to hire them to do it. But I felt like there's a profit to be made for the $5,000 to $6,000 per month that Chris is making, and plus he's asking for 10% of the 20, like, of the DSO, like in terms of equity. And he said it's negotiable, but basically we're giving him 10%, right, for ADP to form this. And we calculate the cost. We don't have to go as high. I mean, definitely they're making a profit out of this. And a 10% equity ownership from ADP to own us is pretty steep. So we're not thinking to go that route, but that's what they propose. So once you form, then you become an entity, and private equity is willing to talk to you. So during that formations, we talk about lawyer, we talk about accountant, we talk about HR, right? Those are three main things. And if you don't form that, then you're not a true business, an entity, because they don't want you to argue. And at the end, they spend all this time and money, and then you end up not forming DSO. But you already form, it means like all 25 agree to this, right? And the other thing is that once you agree and you form, then you run, you have to meet and run this as a real business meeting.
Company.
Yeah. So let's say you sell by yourself, right? You might sell 3 times EBITDA, but the moment you form 25 practices, you go to 5 times EBITDA. So this is what we call inorganic growth. And 1 or 2% EBITDA can translate to like $100,000, right? And when you form like at 50 practices, you can go up to 13. And if you have organic growth 10%, plus there's a lot of other dentists in this platform, because a lot of problem with a lot of DSO is that they have to go and recruit dentists, and they don't have the same culture, the same bonding. But right now the platform, so they can create pro forma that enhance the EBITDA. So you can go from 13 to 18% if you have a 10% organic growth, because right now everyone's at 2.5%. And then if you showcase, you can grow 15% for your DSO, then and then you have a platform of other dentists that could join, that can go from 25 to 50 to 75. Then we call pro forma as a projection of how much this can be valued. And the projection itself, when you sell it, right, DSO, or you change private equity, at that point is worth a lot of money, because it's a potential. Every investors buy potential. Doesn't mean that you're generating this revenue right now, but the potential, that if you have 10% growth, you have other dentists in the pool, the potential is there. So I'm not just buying your revenue, today's revenue, $50 million for this 40 clinic, but I'm buying the potential of growth, right? So that instead of buying 40 million, I might pay you 75 million. And then your EBITDA goes to like 18 times now. But if today you sell your practice, you're selling at 3 times EBITDA, let's say 200,000, maybe 600,000. But the moment you become part of 25, you can sell 5 times, because you form, and the risk, it's like, it's all about de-risk, because they don't want to pay all this money, do the due diligence, and then you don't want to form. But if you already form, they know you're committed. So you go to 5 times. So you can sell practice for like, let's say 200 EBITDA, 200,000, then 5 times you can sell for 1 million. But what we're looking for is probably a 5-year commitment, because most private equity wants that commitment to make sure that it's run as an entity. But that's in a nutshell what inorganic growth is about. I think Dr.
Which part do you want to talk?
I think maybe you can go to ideal member profile. We can go slide by slide. So
Sorry about that. Let me see. Okay, yeah. Where
I mean, I can go slide by slide. We don't have to.
Okay,
Yeah,
here.
scroll through. Yeah, ideal member profile.
Yeah, so right now the window's closing for DSO, because we know that the tariff and also the egg price is going up. So we have window 3 years to really prove a DSO is actually can have 15% growth annually. It doesn't matter, either 3% organic growth and 12% inorganic growth, but that's a CEO, right? He has to drive that growth, right? So if you have 10% organic growth, then you don't have to purchase practice as much. You can just have 1 or 2 practices, and then you can reach to 15% growth, right? So at least 3 years commitment to 5 years. The financial health, usually it's about 1.5 million, the practice you want to start with the DSO. And you have to have similar mindset. You have to collaborate. I think there's no problem here right now. It's usually when you join DSO and you don't know who they are, they're strangers, and you try to bind to that culture, try to integrate. That's the hardest way. I mean, it's like,
Difficult.
very difficult. Yeah. So yeah, at least 3 to 5 year commitment, 1.5, have similar culture, which is not a problem here. Can go to next slide. I think right now we're doing a great job in collective knowledge. We're sharing everything from C classes to business informations to workflow or systems, right? And as a DSO, we can increase the growth by group buying power. Dr. Zhang, next slide. From supply to lab and equipment. I think Dr. Zhang can talk more about that. I think he's been working on that part. And can we go to the next slide? Standardized workflow. What's the best practice? I think Dr. Hui kind of explained it today a little bit. So it's like really how can we get to that 10% growth and maybe 5% inorganic growth to get there, right? So these are examples of, I think we talked about earlier, how we can get to that 15% growth a year. Can we see next slide? I think we talked about that already, about education and training. Let's see, next slide. The software, we talk about software, how to use data. Okay, can we go on top? Maybe in case I missed something, we can go on. But I think we already covered a lot of these things already. Oh, can we go to that slide here?
Yeah, that's the slide.
Above a little bit. Yeah, here.
Yeah.
So I think, Doctor, do you want to jump in and say if you joined the DSO as a founding member, every cash, like every valuation, every cash event, you build that private equity? I think you explained it well, I think.
Well, I think, my focus is trying to get people as founders, because my focus, which is a little bit different from other people, I can only say for myself, I really focus on unity. And then I really want to be very conservative. And then, but I think our goal is to bring, the DSO to a much higher level of, instead of just 10% growth, I think I would like to be much, much higher. So we will be, have a huge organic growth, compared to other practices and other model. And then I think, those are the areas I wanted to kind of push a little bit, because I think we have a lot of potential in a group, because a lot of the people are very, very hardworking. And then as long as we kind of commit ourselves, to follow, it's really just learning from other people, how they do it, and copy what they do and improve it a little bit. I think we have a very, very good chance to really take ourselves to a next level. And when we integrate other things into our, thing, I mean, we just talk about very, very small things here. But, the goal of the DSO is just basically a stage, a time level, so we can, compare if you have DSO, if you don't have a DSO, how we roll over as a founders. We have first level founders, we have, a first level roll up, and then the second level of roll up, we can roll up a little bit more. We keep some of the stock for the second roll up, and also we keep some of the stock for the third roll up. So if you start from the beginning, you have the most amount of opportunity, because you will look as founders like anything else. I mean, anything else that we learn from multi-level marketing is the money is always made on top, and you're going to bring other people to come into our group and help us to grow. These people will be like, multi-level marketing, your lower level. So, in that sense, they're actually helping you to make money or helping us to make money. So that's, one of the fundamentals why multi-level marketing company are so successful, because, they are, your mentors going to make sure that you're successful, because if you're not successful, they are not successful. That's really how we're going to make sure that you are successful. So that's a very, very key. So when you go to the third level, then you have the third roll up, and then your stock will go up, another few times. Obviously, not everybody in the same stage. Some people is going to be faster, some people are slower. So if you have to sell out, we already have some private company, private equity company that willing to help you to make your EBITDA look better and help you to sell it, faster. Some people might want to sell next year, but our goal is like maybe 3 to 5 years. Okay, our goal is 3 to 5 years. So if somebody had to sell out next year, or they had to sell out tomorrow, then we'll still help them, but we do it in a different way. So everybody have a different timing. But more importantly, what I learned is it takes me many, many years. Let's just say it takes me 20 years to learn all these things. If I can learn my last 20 years in 1 year, then my second year will be really double what I do. It's usually the doubling effect that really counts. That's what I learned, gracefully. So I'm going to use the example of somebody else that approached me. This guy is he's the one who created the, what do you call that? Snap-on Smile. He's the one who created, and he's the pioneer, the creator of the Snap-on Smile. He come to my office. He want to buy my office, and he have done this 3 times. This is his 3rd time doing it. So every single time he had the knowledge, he done this, he just repeated over and over again. So when you have the knowledge and you have the experience, you can do this over and over again. The key is, do you have the knowledge or not? So I think knowledge is really key. All of us want to be smarter, and all of us want to be better. All of us want to be, a little bit different. But most of the time in the past, nobody is really willing to extend their hand and really teach you. Like, you are the most, the most important person they want you to grow. And here, because we have a very, very strong connection, and I really focus on unity, so I want to help, and serve most of our, people in the same culture, so that we can all grow together. So ultimately, it's a decision. The most important thing in life is about decision. Decision is really make you where you're gonna head. So I think, Allison, you have any last word before I show them my little tiny cute video?
Yeah, I think when you're doing a DSO, it's also like the more practice that's healthy within DSO, that's how you increase your EBITDA. So you have to help each other to grow. Unless you owe the bank money, we are not going to go to private equity. We want to grow, like form the DSO, grow the DSO for 3 years, and then you can do a cash event. Because if you go to private equity, unless you owe like $500,000 for your practice, we're most likely going to do a debt funding. A debt funding versus a private equity funding is that the DSO is going to purchase your debt, and then you become part of the DSO, and then how much you have in terms of equity will convert that to a cap table, like what's your ownership of the DSO. And right now you purchase DSO, let's say $1, right? 3 years from now, when we roll like a cash event, then this DSO, let's say we have 5 practices and now we have 30 practices, then the EBITDA probably go to like 12 times at that point. Then the $1 that you have is probably worth $12 now. So at the beginning, we're not gonna get private equity to buy your debt, and they don't want to buy you because we're gonna lose a lot of opportunity to grow the EBITDA. So it's gonna be bank funded debt funding.
Personal funding. We can also do personal funding, like
Yeah.
private placement. my first company that we did, it was private placement. And I think we raised about $2 million at that time. That was like almost 20 years ago. Today we probably can do more, but ultimately the end goal and the end game is really to create a better outcome, focus on not to focus on short-term gain, but really for the long-term, differentiation. That's really what we should focus on. Yeah, go ahead, Allison. Sorry.
No. And I think right now everyone's like, well, I'm not sure if I want to join DSO, and so that's why we're like, well, we're trying our best to bring the educations, bring the software, or bring like there's something called my practice, my business, right? They charge the patient more based on the extra step that you would do for a procedure, especially COIS. We do a lot of extra steps for every single procedures. Then you can charge a surcharge on top of the insurance fees. That there's like hygiene practices that you can increase your organic growth. But once you join the DSO, then the inorganic growth is part of your like your way of retiring as well, because yes, it's important to grow your practice from 1 million to 2 millions, but also you have it's your hard work, right? But then the inorganic growth is like the more healthy practice join this DSO, then you will also
Be
go
rewarded.
from 3 times EBITDA to like 10 times, right? So if you take 1 million, have 200,000 EBITDA, so 3 times is 600,000 that you would have sold the practice for. But then as the DSO grow to 25 practices, it might be worth 10 times, right? So 10 times 200,000 is quite 2 million. But if you would sell your practice right now, you wouldn't get 2 million, you might get 600,000. And obviously it's important that who joined the DSO is important, and you want to help them, right? And I think there's no problem here right now because you already know who I mean, you kind of know me, but I think you know Dr. Zhang more, Dr. Hui more. You know each other a lot already. So it's not as difficult to get to know people. And so you have a chance to grow with the DSO. And obviously, every cash event evaluate the DSO, and then you can choose to vote to sell it or not. And every time you sell it, there's a loss of control, and also you're gonna have to decide how this cash event is gonna. At least you have a say about it versus you join DSO where you have no say. So I think that's the founding level members. Yes.
Right. I think it's very, very key. It's one thing that you actually can plan and design your goal and, inspiration and your target, and the other option, you sell it to any other DSO, you basically are being told where you're going to go. That's a very, very different mindset. Obviously we all want to drive our own boat, but then at least, you are on the driver's seat. And that's something that I think is very important to focus, to see that, we're all growing and we're all partnering and we're all helping each other to grow. And that's the synergy that I see is really going to make a difference. Actually, we have 3 level, and I don't want to say it. I really am not supposed to say this. And please, I hope, I told Allison maybe I really shouldn't say this, but we have only 3 level of entry. Our entry level is really cheap. Like I say, we're spending $13,000 every month just to learn more knowledge. Although we feel like we have some knowledge already, but we need to learn more knowledge to grow. But the fact of the matter is, the entry level to come in is really like nothing, which is, less than $300 a month, but we actually, for the second level of people to join, not the founders, we actually want them to join us like a 0. They don't have to pay anything, because when they don't have to pay anything, then we make the most out of the growth. Let's say if they make $5 million, okay, let's say if they were $1 million, they go into, $6 million. The growth is $5 million. And then we can take 80% of that $5 million. So that actually, it will help us a lot. So we make $4 million to the group. Okay. I know I'm not supposed to really say that, just a simple comparison, but the fact of the matter is, it's still a good deal for the people who join, because if you give me $1 and I only give you 80 cents, that transaction I would love to happen as many times as possible, as many opportunities as possible, because actually I'm making more money. I only have to, I'm just using their resources, the patients and the employee to grow, our practice. So, then it will eliminate for the people who's hesitant to join. And then we can also see, what numbers there are, what is their numbers, because the more we learn about their numbers, we know if they have the opportunity to get to that level or not. And then unfortunately, not everybody is really committed. Some people are just interested. And we're really looking for people who are seriously committed so that they can be the top 1%, so we can grow in the top 1%. So that's some of the things that I think is something that I really should not be saying, but, ultimately, I think we all want each other to grow, and we want to hold each other, we want to help each other to be accountable so we can grow the whole organization to a different level.
I think Eddie has some question in the chat group here. Some dentists want to be out in 10 years, some in 15 years. So how does that work? So when you want to get out in 5, 10, 15 years, it triggers a cash event. I mean, those are little terms in private equity. Let's say we have been sold to a private equity 5 years mark, right? Like we get valuation, there's 25 practices, and it's value at 40 million, right? So let's say you want to exit a 5-year mark, and this is worth 40 million, this whole DSO. Then the DSO gonna have to purchase you at that level of EBITDA. So you trigger valuation, like me startups, right? We don't want to get valuated right now, because like right now, as a single doctor, you don't want to get valued right now and be sold to a DSO. This is the cheapest they can get from you. So as a startup, we want to get valued 5 years from now, right? When we are established, when we have our revenue and everything. So that way, we have a higher level of valuation. Because every time you get valuated and your accounting doesn't look good, your production doesn't look good, you're not part of a group, you're gonna sell at a discount price. But let's say you're part of DSO, we saw 10 years from now. It's gonna be the price at that moment of your practice and part of that DSO group. So there's two factors here: how much like your organic growth as a practice, and how much they're worth in terms of equity in this DSO. And we would have to pay you that price to get you out, right? So every 5 years there's a cash event, and you can decide, do you want to sell it or do you want to stay? And the DSOs is the same. Do I want to sell to private equity, or we're going to private it run? Like if you don't sell the private equity, that means you're privately owned, right? The more you delay, the more member you have, the more healthier practice you have, the more that DSO can bring you, like we talk about 400,000, 408,000 extra money from sleep. The other question is, can we guarantee that per month? That's what I'm trying to work. I cannot guarantee it right now, but that's what we try to create the staff system. Like each dentist should have their own 2 assistant in front office. It's like a law firm. That's how we work at Essence of Dentistry. AbnoMed's data, when we look at it, it looks really good, and the technology looks really good. Westbury looks pretty good. There's some glitches. We're still working on it. But it's not easy to put all this workflow together. It takes time. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of tweaking. But basically what we're saying here is that if we can get you work hard as a DSO, get you that growth, regardless, your practice is going to be worth more. And when we have more healthier practice joining us, then that entire DSO is going to be worth more. And when you have that cash event, if you sell the private, you can cash it out at that time, right? So either we buy you or the private equity will buy the DSO. But at that point, your accounting, your growth, you're part of the group, it's much more, your valuation will be much more higher than where you are currently. And that's what, Gary.
This is part of the consolidation process. I mean, we see in many industry, and like you say, Dr. Han, I mean, we're a little bit behind schedule. Okay, in any industry, like the banking industry, the private equities, industry, just like banking, many years ago, I used to have Washington Mutual. Now it become Chase. It's a corporate consolidation. That's just reality. It doesn't, you like it or you don't like it, it just happened. The question is, are you on the driver's seat or are you on the passenger seat? That's the only question you need to decide. Life has no guarantee. I mean, the only thing that I can guarantee is, I believe in God, okay? And God paved my way to create new opportunities. And I'm very grateful that almost in 100% every single step that I take, I have more opportunity, that I do not even see. Like I haven't really explained to Allison that, last Saturday, we just joined at MSO. We just joined in the new company that, very, they have all the detail marketing, credentialing, they have a whole team doing credentialing, for the doctors. One of the pain point is, I hate to do credentialing because I lost, some of my girls, they're not on the team. They're not, I don't want to say that they lost focus, but sometimes they forgot to renew. And then I lost one or two, it takes me a year to get it back. Okay. And some of them haven't even get it back yet. So credentialing, when you have something standardized, it becomes like a thermostat. It's always keep the same standard. If it's a 72 degree, it's 72 degree. You're not, rise with the temperature outside, ups and down, ups and down, and ups and down. That's the difference, that you're gonna have to make a decision. Nobody can make this decision for you. And obviously we're looking for people who are committed. There are always going to be people who is interested and ask you 1,000 questions. What is next? What can be done? If there's any guarantee. But, I heard one people used to tell me, the reason you buy a car is not you want to have safety and put it in your garage every day. The reason you buy a car is because you want to go places that you cannot walk. And the reason you have insurance is to protect your car. So you have to have that mentality of taking a little bit of a risk. And the best thing is, in our option, you don't even have to pay a penny. One of the options, you don't even have to pay anything, zero. And you can still join a group. It's just that we're going to be taking advantage of that maybe a little bit more because, it doesn't show commitment. I remember, me and Eddie went to the full arch education last year, and this year I didn't go. And the guy was there, and then and the guy was very much sharing everything that he learned, and things have changed even 1 year. So marketing is really important. I purchased the high level marketing, for my office, and I'm going to try to use that to help everybody else. And then the high level marketing, they have all the Instagram, all the TikTok, all the YouTube, everything synced together. I have somebody in a group that focus on that and create marketing. Dr. Hans and my office, we don't really market outside as much. We focus on internal marketing, but it's important for most other office to have external marketing. That's something that I think is very important.
Yeah, Dr. Hui, I think in the
yeah, I'm trying to share some of my video, but then I want to let some of the videos in Chinese, so I just want to show it last, so that's, I think being in a group of very strong
Dr. Hui, I don't think we can hear the volume.
Is it too loud?
I'm not hearing anything.
Or the volume didn't go?
Not for me.
I think you have to reshare.
Hold on.
Choose the sound.
I'm sorry?
Your sound is not here. You
Oh,
just
the sound's not there?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So too bad. I think I probably
Your
cannot
audio
share
not
too
there.
much. I bet. I think something wrong with my sound situation. I was recording some video and then I put it on Loom. I usually record a lot of the video on Loom and then the sound didn't come through. So,
Okay.
I was trying to
There
record
is
the
a
video on Loom earlier.
Dr. Hui, there is a question in the chat room. Do you have any program have new startup office, such as maybe with 50% ownership?
Do you have any program help new startup offer, such as maybe 50% ownership? Yeah, I think we can all create some, program. We're going to create some program for startup because ultimately we also have startup. I mean, I think I was supposed to talk to, Raymond later on, about startup stuff because, I was working with one of my repair guy to, purchase a manufacturing company because I was focusing on how you do manufacturing in the United States because of the tariff issues. Some of my friends are very smart. They already rerouted the tariff situation, although the tariff is pretty much gone. But you don't want to have that issue all the time. So we kind of created, there's so happened that a dental company like a chair manufacturer, compressor, cabinet, those are US made, but they're actually coming from Brazil, Colombia, and will be China. And then we're trying to create a free tax zone, philosophy that we can get all those products free of tax. So that's something that we're trying to focus. I would talk to Raymond and you a little bit later to see how we can do that. And if we can purchase the company with very, 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 very little cost, and we really can get new offices opening much, much easier. We're thinking about, having special packages, very reasonable, and have management system to go with it. So this way they can blossom much faster. It's in the plan, but obviously, we had to get to the first base first. And our first base right now is just having committed people who want to expand their office. Because some people, I don't know, I would think that every person is really committed to their focus to expand their office. But when I look at myself in the past, there's a time that I get comfortable. I make a few bucks, I get a little comfortable. I tell to John and Allison, I don't really like to, I hate to tell people that I know something because I always like to act like the dumbest guy in the block in the room because I'm here to learn, but because I really love to have some unity, that's why I want to, work with everyone to bring out the best of us. And that's really something that I think is important. Is the volume still have issues, John?
Yes, I'm just outside right now.
Oh, okay, got it. I think
Yeah.
I can hear some echo maybe because I think maybe your volume's on. That's why I hear some. I thought my volume is not good. But anyway, I think the ultimate thing is we want to grow. We want to strategically grow, and Dr. Hans have her system. I think it's very important that every area of the dentistry we should update it, from the past, and then we have strategically planned which way we want to update, and we're counting on, some of our strong people in our group, that are willing to share, willing to commit to work with us, so we become founders, so that we can design our path, hopefully, much faster, and use each other's ideas to complement each other to become a much more successful team. And that's really the bottom line. Some of the video that I was going to show, I think I need to make some changes. Like before, I was having a hard time because I might get my new computer. It was really fancy, but
yeah, Harold, I think you can share in the group there.
In the group?
Yeah, the WeChat group.
Oh, okay. It's really cute. Okay, yeah. I'll put it in the group. I think it's really cute. It's just that they're using a story of who you commit with, how the group, as far as how the numbers work, because I cannot explain it as good as they do in 2 minutes. Some of these people are really good at explaining something in about 2 minutes flat. And they tell you, even, Pinduoduo, I think, 怎么样子说呢? In that company, Temu, they lost so much money every year, but the CEO have gained, billions over the years because of the stock. That's the inorganic growth that they have. So, there is a reason why, people loan their stock to company and do not pay taxes. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but I'm saying that's how Elon Musk, buy Twitter, and he just smart, so we have to learn from people who are smarter than us so we can, get to the group that we want, so we can be a little bit, more, in a different level. There's always different level. It's just that we have to, go, we have to just commit ourselves to the growth. And I think that's, at least in our group, we don't have to travel so much. We just learn mostly from internet, which is much, much easier than before. I remember back then my front desk person, her name is Cindy, and then she had to go to MGE every month. And I think Hong Li probably go to MGE every month. They had to fly down to MGE, once a month, and it's like 2 years, 3 years. It's a very serious commitment. On top of that, you have to pay, a lot of money. But then it's probably very much worth it because, back in the days, before I show up in the office, I already collect $10,000 or $20,000, without me even being there. So the system works. It's just a system. You just have to learn this. That's the fundamental of how you need to know how to play the game. And if you don't know how to play the game, then it's difficult. You really cannot progress to a different level if you don't know how to play the game. I mean, in a different context, just in a different level. So I think that's all I would like to say today. I think it's almost 10 o'clock. John, you have any last word you want to bring together?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hui, and thank you, Dr. Han. I think based on our right now situation, each doctor their office is different, but we have the program to help our doctor to increase their clinical skill. Like Dr. Xue, we are going to have the training, live patient training in Guatemala in July. Yeah, I'm going to send that training program again to our member. And also Dr. Han, we are going to start how the training called biomimetic for arch reconstruction. This kind of the technique, if we step by step to learn, this will highly increase our revenue. Yeah, absolutely. I think we are together use our Chinese wisdom. Yeah, we can facing the challenge. Yeah, okay. Hope we can. We are going to have this kind of webinar, more webinar. You can join us, and also you can have any question. You can ask Dr. Hui, Dr. Han, and me in the group. Okay. Thank you. Yeah,
I guess I'm going to put down some video in the group, but Dr. John, I guess what we're going to do is set up a time so that you can send them the NDA. Whoever is interested, send them the NDA. So once they sign the NDA, then we can start talking a little bit more committed, to make sure that, our plan is, go to the direction that all of us wanted to go, and then we can be going to a different commitment level.
Okay. great.
Thank
So
you,
thank you
Dr.
so much.
Okay,
Thank you so much,
thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you for everyone.
Looking forward to every
Bye. Have a good